What is up, guys? It is your buddy Psycho Gamer, aka Aubrey, coming at you with another episode talking about another arcade machine coming out by Arcade1up. Now, if you guys did check my video the other day for X-Men vs. Street Fighter, this one's going to be fairly similar. It's going to have many of the same games on it, but it's going to be a little more specialized. So, give me a like, give me a subscribe, check out the video right after this, and I'll talk to you in a minute.
Here comes a new challenger.
Welcome back once again, guys. Now, like I mentioned before, we are going to be going to take a quick look at the upcoming Marvel vs. Capcom release by Arcade1up. So, when I did my video the other day, I only thought there was one arcade machine that was actually announced in terms of fighting games, and I thought that was going to be the X-Men vs. Street Fighter. I was mistaken. There's actually a second one that is going to be coming out. Now, while Marvel vs. Capcom is going to be included on the other arcade machine, that is going to also have its own standalone machine that's going to come with many of the other games that were on the X-Men vs. Street Fighter arcade machine itself. So there are 5 different games that are going to actually be on this arcade machine. And you're looking at Marvel Superheroes, another good fighter, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, much like the other arcade machine, Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, which, if I'm not mistaken, they already released that in its own standalone cabinet as well, but this one's going to be a bit better. Marvel Superheroes War of the Gems. Now that one is kind of a head scratcher there because it was not in the arcades at all. It was another one of those Super Nintendo kind of fighting games. And then, obviously, the game that is the main title of the actual arcade machine is going to be Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Superheroes. So, Marvel vs. Capcom series has been out for many, many years now. It came out during the original PlayStation years. So, with it being released in its own standalone arcade, is going to really make some people smile. Now, will they be releasing maybe a Marvel vs. Capcom 2? We don't know. They haven't officially announced anything yet. So, will we actually see Marvel vs. Capcom 2 in the arcades once again? I hope so. But what we're going to do, we're going to take another in-depth look at each of these games. I may show a little bit of gameplay of Marvel Superheroes War of the Gems if you have not seen it or are not familiar with how it's going to look. I'm assuming that the intro is going to be much like the other Marvel game that's on the X-Men vs. Street Fighter, where it's got a big, long, drawn-out, texted intro. So we may just have a little bit of footage of the game being played at that case. So the first game we're going to take a look at is Marvel Superheroes. So check this trailer out. Have a little bit of nostalgia there, and we'll be right back. Alright, so like I said, that was a really cool trailer. Lots of good action, and I think people are going to be kind of confused about which one of these games they're going to want to play first. Now, one thing of note that I ended up seeing in a video for the NBA Jam game, they were doing an interview, I think at CES 2020 earlier this year, talking about it. And for that particular game, they have the ability to take the lines away out of the screen. So if you notice how old the game is, if you look at the footage of it, it looks like there's little itty bitty lines going all the way across the screen. Apparently that is like a filter of some sort that you can turn on and off, at least with the NBA Jam game. If you haven't seen that particular video, go ahead and click the link above and check that video out as well if you haven't seen that one. But in terms of will they add it into Marvel vs. Capcom or the X-Men vs. Street Fighter games, that would be a cool little feature to actually see them add in there so people could actually have the true original arcade kind of look, because it has something to do with the actual screens itself. The old CRT monitors, where that's really the only way they can make it actually work correctly. So I guess we will see whether or not that's actually going to happen. So the next game we're going to look at is X-Men vs. Street Fighter. Well, yes, I did go over many of these trailers already in my previous video. If you are new to the channel, you can go ahead and take a look at this trailer as well and see what you think about it.
Here you go! Shinku Hadouken!
X-Men versus Street Fighter!
X-Men vs. Street Fighter. Definitely a game you're going to want to play if you haven't played it yet. I don't know how long many of you have been into fighting games or been into comic books and or fighting games, but I think it would be one that many of you would really enjoy. The next game we're going to look at is going to be this Marvel Superheroes War of the Gems. I am not going to just throw a video up on here. I'm just going to go ahead and stream it, a little bit of footage off of YouTube right now, because there's just so much of the game to take a look at. So we're switching over, and this is basically one of the screens you're going to be looking at to get into the game itself. Yes. So yes, we are going to be looking at some of these amazing graphics from Super Nintendo. Have the Hulk versus Nebula. And yeah, you get hit, and yeah, it's one of those things. I don't think I necessarily need to show too much footage of this particular game, but I think you pretty much get the gist that this is going to be a very not so graphic intense game when it comes to how it's going to fit in their arcade machine. This will probably be one of the least played games on the actual arcade cabinet. So if you want to see more of this, just do a quick YouTube search, guys, and you can be highly disappointed this is going to be actually on the game. So we're going to switch back over to my computer here. And the next game we're going to look at is Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter. So this was another game in that time period. I believe it was released on the PlayStation as well as in the arcades, where the crossovers were huge, especially once people had already been playing the Street Fighter games for so long. Street Fighter originally was in the arcade. Didn't see too many console iterations of it because it really wasn't the best beat 'em up kind of fighting game. So when they actually had Street Fighter 2 come out, that's where everybody was like, oh wow, we can do other stuff with these characters. So we're going to take a look at Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter. Stick around, because we got one more to go with, and you know which one it is.
Are you ready, true believers? Capcom and Marvel have joined forces once again to bring you in Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter! Survive uncanny adventure! Don't miss out on the enjoyment of a lifetime! Behold, amazing fantasy! Don't miss the most amazing tag team fighting game ever! Are you ready for a new challenger? Let's rock! Come join Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter! You'll have mine. You'll have mine. You'll have mine. You'll have mine.
Alright, like I said, Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter. Another great beat 'em up kind of game. The one thing I do like about all these games that I'm showing, except for the Marvel Superheroes War of the Gems, is the animation behind all of them. They had really good animations when it came to the gameplay, and the intros were second to none. Granted, yeah, it seems like most of them were just still shots of them just kind of moving up the screen or moving off to the side, but they were still ahead of their time when it came to those particular games. So now we're going to go to the main title of this particular arcade cabinet, which is going to be Marvel vs. Capcom. So Marvel vs. Capcom has been out for a very long time. They've had, I think they're like their fourth or fifth iteration that's going to be coming out. Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was also very big, but it had a huge roster of superheroes. Whereas Marvel vs. Capcom, I think it was only maybe about 20-25 characters, and now they're like what, 50, 60, 70 characters are putting in these games now. So it's hard to imagine going backwards unless you want to have that nostalgia. Check this out, guys. Like I said, Marvel vs. Capcom. Right here.
Capcom presents. Marvel vs. Capcom. Marvel vs. Capcom.
Alright guys, well, that does it. Marvel vs. Capcom was the last video. I hope you really liked some of the videos, and the fact that they really haven't shown or talked about much of this particular cabinet. I know they actually had this big video that was released, but it only showed just a little glimpse of this particular cabinet. So I thought they were supposed to be releasing a Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter as well, which, if they did glimpse it, is probably in this trailer right here. I don't think I necessarily need to do a video for that one. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. You hope you enjoyed some of the actual videos that I linked in here. And hopefully you guys have an amazing night. And as always, guys, give me a like, give me a subscribe, and remember to always game on.